In this episode, we're making a Mushroom Wellington. This is an absolute must for any vegetarian for a Sunday lunch. They can be made in bulk and frozen and cooked on the day, which takes out all the hassle. And even if you're not a vegetarian, you're an avid meat eater, these are absolutely beautiful. You have to give them a go. First thing to do to get our Mushroom Wellingtons on the road is we get our mushrooms, and they've got a little bit of muck on the outside still. There's nothing wrong with just washing them off, but mushrooms are like sponges, they'll absorb water. So I feel the best thing to do is to just peel them and take out the toadstool, and that gives us a lovely finish. So it's dead simple. Hold it between your thumb and your forefinger, and then just peel off. All the way around. Dead easy. And then you're taking away all that muck on the outside, and you're not risking your mushrooms soaking up loads of water. So we get rid of those, and then just pop the toadstool out. And it's as simple as that. Lovely clean mushroom, ready to go. So we'll get these peeled up, and then we'll bang them into the oven. So you want a preheated oven at about 180 degrees. We'll cover these in a bit of oil and a bit of salt. We'll get them roasted for about 10 to 15 minutes. Let them cool, and then we're good to go and build. It really is that easy. Right, the mushrooms are cooked and cooled. We haven't cooked them on too much of a high temperature or for too long, 10-15 minutes as said. And now we can build. So it's important that you have all your ingredients out before, so there's less messing about. So we've got an onion marmalade. You can make it, or you can buy it from the store. A store-bought one is perfect for this recipe. Mushroom duxelle, and you can find the recipe for that on my beef Wellington recipe. Goat's cheese, any goat's cheese really from the store. This is a particular favourite of mine because it's so versatile. Then we've got salt, some raw baby spinach that's been washed and spun dry, and a puff pastry. It really is that simple. So, we want to do this in sort of a circular dome shape, so it's like a pativier, which is a French pastry. So, a little bit of egg yolk. Again, I like to use egg yolk as opposed to whole eggs. It gives a better finish, and it also allows the pastry to stick a little bit better. So take 1/4 of your pastry, and then we'll take one of the mushrooms, and that just goes straight down. And now we want to build this in layers. We're going to cover the top with pastry, so you imagine when you cut into it, when it's cooked, you get all those beautiful layers and that lovely melted goat's cheese. Absolutely delicious. So, we'll start with the mushroom duxelle. So that goes straight onto the mushroom, and just push it out to the edges, trying to keep it as tidy as possible, making sure it doesn't fall onto the pastry. Then a little bit of onion marmalade. It really depends on your flavour preferences. If you want it a little bit sweeter, add a little bit more. If not, add a little bit less. It's entirely up to you. This recipe is really fluid. Just stick to the main ingredients and you'll be fine. Then we'll take a little bit of baby spinach. Now, I don't really want to cook this before. You can wilt it before if you want, but I think it's much better if you put it in raw. The little bit of moisture that's left in there allows a little bit of steam to create in the pativier, and it just makes it beautiful. So, just piled up like that, dead easy. And then we'll take our goat's cheese and just crumble some bits. Again, if you're not partial to goat's cheese, a hard cheddar or a Gouda would work. If you want to be a bit gnarly, a blue cheese would also work. I just think a goat's cheese is just a bit of a crowd pleaser all round. So that goes on the top there. Nice and easy. Then we top with another mushroom. So make sure you put the toadstool side on top. So you're creating yourself like a little mushroom burger. So there's the start of it really. Super simple. So I'm going to cut around the pastry that we've egg washed. And then we want a bigger square or a bigger circle that's going to allow enough coverage to go over the top and stick to the bottom of the pastry. So I'm going to use a big chunk. If the pastry just come out of the fridge, it tends to be quite stiff. So just sort of manipulate it between your fingers and your hands, just so it becomes a little bit more pliable. It's much easier to use and it's much easier to manipulate over the top of these mushrooms. So I'm just going to put a tiny little bit more egg wash around here, just for double sticky. And then sort of as you're looking at it from the top, if it looks like a star, so have one sheet of pastry as a square and the other sheet as a diamond. And then we sort of go over the top dead gently, trying to keep everything in place. And then using the cup of your little fingers, sort of push down, and you're trying to push all the air out, a little bit like making a ravioli, a little bit like making pasta. And then you can see there's a little air socket in there, an air bubble in there. Just really gently push like that. So at the moment, it doesn't look great. So if you've got a ring or anything you want to cut out with, you can do. I like to just use a knife and just cut about 2 centimetres away from the actual mushrooms. That'll allow you to do a lovely little pleat around the outside. So we'll just cut that. And pull away. So to pleat, place your right forefinger on the edge of the pastry and then using your other hand, make a little fold. In that indentation, fold your finger over and then keep turning and you keep folding it over, keep folding it over. You get a lovely little pleated pattern. And this is a great alternative for a vegetarian Sunday lunch. We're just going to pop that onto an oven tray now. And we're just going to go the extra mile and make it a little bit fancy. So I've got my trusty lattice cutter and we're going to make a lovely little bit of pastry to go over the top. As with the beef Wellington, it's always good to give it a little lick of egg yolk over the top for a lovely glaze and a lovely finish. If you don't have a lattice cutter, you can use the back of a knife and get a lovely pattern by using the back of a knife. Just make sure you don't pierce the pastry. So when you're putting your egg yolk on, make sure you get into those lovely pleats, because otherwise they'll look dry when they've been cooked. There we go. Lattice cutter onto the pastry. If you start about 2 centimetres in, you can hold the pastry and it won't get away from you. And then all you've got to do is just trim it off. And then you've just got to be careful now, manipulate this pastry so all the lovely little cuts come out and we get a lovely finish. So when you got to this stage, gently over the top. If there's any excess lattice pastry, just grab a pair of scissors and just gently trim so you don't go over that lovely pleat that you just made. If you don't know me by now, I love a bit of an egg wash. Straight over the top. Again, making sure that it doesn't pull in the little recesses of the pastry, but also enough on there to give it a lovely golden finish. A little sprinkling of salt. So we'll get this into our oven, preheated at 180 degrees. These are absolutely fantastic to pre-make. You can even pre-make them and freeze them if you're having a dinner party or you want to just get ahead for Sunday lunch. You've got the folks coming round or the kids coming round. It's really easy to spend a Monday or Tuesday getting these done and it's less hassle at the weekend. So we're going to get this into the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes until the pastry's cooked, and then we can get stuck in.